Hey guys, welcome to the pilot episode of Timmeh Talks, the YouTube series where we find subjects and we talk about them, and together we're going to try and make the world a better place. Will it work? I don't know. This is the first episode. We're just trying it out. I hope it works, but here we go. So this video is going to be split into sections. The first section is going to be talking about my depression. The second section is going to be talking about how you can deal with depression if you reckon you've got it or if you know you've got it. The third section is how to deal with it if you are the friend or family member of someone who you think may have it or you know has it. Does that make sense? I don't know, but let's just go right ahead to section 1. Okay, so my depression is a bit of a weird one because everyone talks about you have triggers and there's a reason it starts, and mine was just all these little things that were going on in my life that kind of kicked it off, and it kind of grew over the years. I believe in myself that the start of it was when my parents got divorced from when I was a very young age. I believe I was literally, we're talking like reception year 1, year 2, somewhere in that junior school stage. At the time I was one of the cool kids because, I was one of the first ever to have divorced parents and have 2 homes, and everyone was like, oh, it's so cool, what's it like? And I was like, oh, cool. That in itself is a reason behind my depression as well. The fact that I went from being this kind of popular, everyone knew I had divorced parents and it was all cool, to like, I pretty much became a nobody from, year 3 all the way to now. I'm still a nobody, let's be honest. It really didn't help that I went to a very pretentious, let's say, I don't really know what word to use, but my grammar school is a highly sought after school, and a lot of the people that go there are up their own arse. I found it weird in myself. Like, I didn't feel like I fit in because I'm surrounded by everyone that thinks the world revolves around them and they're the best thing going, they're the strongest, they're the smartest, they're the bravest, they're the coolest, they're the best looking, and I'm just there like, I'm average. Like me for who I am, or fuck off. I'm not blaming others for my depression, but I definitely still say to this day that it didn't help that whilst I was trying to combat all of this, all I had going on was, these people, giggle, rumours, I'm just like, grow the hell up. Like, even though I act really immature, like, all the time, emotionally, I feel a lot more mature than a lot of the people that I've put up with in my life. I don't go out of my way to spite anyone, I don't try and attack anyone, I don't see the point in being fake and then talking about someone behind their back. I am me, I am myself, no matter what situation I'm thrown into, so there you go. But my depression was the kind where all I ever wanted to do was shut myself away, put my music in and just forget the world existed. A lot of people have that similar feeling when they just want to be the only person that exists for a bit, because when you've got depression, everything just comes at you and you can't handle the world, just this whole world full of people, full of stuff, full of goings on. It's just, when you've got depression, that feeling lives in you that you just want to be alone, just for a short period of time. Just everything else needs to stop existing, but you can't stop that existing, and that's what gets the depression kind of spinning and going and starts really getting to you. But with depression as well, you get the feeling of you're always low, you're always tired, you lose motivation to do things, you just feel worthless, you always compare yourself to others. Everyone else on this planet just seems better than you, and you seem the lowest of the low. So yeah, basically that. So yeah, I went through school being incredibly unpopular. I went to uni and was still relatively unpopular, but because through sixth form my depression was making me not want to go to uni, and it wasn't until towards the end when I was like, I reckon I can do this, bring it on. So I went to uni and made a new name for myself, and I actually did start making friends. I was a different person at uni. Like, no one at uni would have recognised me from my sixth form and earlier days, and no one from those days had a clue what I did at uni, which made me who I am now. Like, I've always done YouTube, and that's a really weird one with me, is I had a low self-esteem which came with the depression, and for some reason YouTube was one of my ways out, and I'm just like, I'm going to make videos. I don't give a shit about people at school. They can say what they want about me. They still say what they want about me these days. Like, I just don't care because I have this internet life on YouTube and Twitter where I am myself, and I never felt like I could even be myself at school. My depression did come with darker sides, as everyone's does. I don't like to talk about self-harm, but I admittedly used to harm myself. Lasted about 3 years, a little bit longer than 3 years, and I kept it very secret and quiet, because this is what annoys me about some self-harmers, is like, look at me, I'm harming myself, oh, if you're nasty to me, I'm just going to go cut myself. And it's like, I'm one of the people that, because I was a real self-harmer, I don't think they're real, they're just doing it for attention, whereas I would quietly shut myself away and do what I felt like I had to do. And it wasn't until I was actually seeing a psychiatrist I said, well, I'm going to be 100% honest. Anything they ask, I am going to be truthful. So I had to, in front of my mum, I broke down that day when, you know, my mum was sitting right next to me and the psychiatrist asked about self-harm, and I said, yeah, about, 3 years. So that kind of sucks. Like, not all people with depression do it, but a lot do. They can't really explain why, it's just something they do. Another thing that depression can bring on is any kind of addiction that your brain for some reason tells you is going to make you better. A lot of people, you know, smoke, do drugs, drink. I don't do any of that. I had a weird addiction. I started overdosing on energy drinks. Any kind of caffeine or taurine I could get into my system, I was doing too much and I was doing harm to myself. But addictions, in a way, this video is not about addictions. If you want me to do a whole video on addictions, I will. But the basic thing of addictions is you can find alternatives. You've just got to keep trying. You know, if something doesn't work, try something else, and you will eventually. I still drink energy drinks, but we're talking what, 1 a fortnight. Not, you know, you're talking 6 or 7 a day. I was stupid. But with depression, there is one thing to always keep in mind. It never, ever 100% goes away. Yes, I always say I used to have depression. Technically, I still do, but you're talking this 5%. So, yeah, my 5% is basically anger. I'm always quite an angry person. People just piss me off way too easily. And that's not me being an angry person. That is my depression right there, just inside of me, waiting for something that would normally make someone a little bit ticked off, but it gets me and it makes me angry. When it gets angry, you know, it starts trying to fire itself back up. So I have to use these methods to calm back down, because I've scared a lot of people in my life. And obviously, once I'd come out this other end of depression, I realised that I scared people because I was threatening to kill myself. I really wanted to kill myself at times. I was always just never quite right in a party situation where everyone should be happy. I was always that quiet one in the corner. You know, I had all these thoughts. I literally had this clusterfuck of thoughts. I couldn't just listen to what was going on in the room, because I had like 15,000 things going on in my head all the time, 24/7. So that's basically what my depression was for me, going through it, and that's what's left of it. It's just the anger. My screensaver's just come on, so that's a good time to wiggle the mouse, move the camera, and move into section 2, which is how you can deal with it if you reckon you've got depression, get in depression, if you know you have depression, if you thought you were over it but you're not quite. We're going to do all of that in the next section now. So dealing with depression can be a bit of a weird one, because the one thing that I did to start with that really helped me was, when you've got depression and you do think that the whole world's against you, you're not going to get a future, you're always going to be a nobody forever. It's just sitting there, look at yourself in the mirror and say, you know what, the world's not a terrible, terrible, terrible place. No, everyone's not out to get you. Yes, there's a lot of arseholes in the world, but you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, at the end of the day, I am mentally ill, I have a mental disorder. Depression's just something that's going on in my head, and it can be erased, it can be beaten, and I can be a happier person. And as soon as you do that, it sort of hits you like, you know, as with any illness, there's a cure. There are symptoms you can minimalise. You can almost get rid of the symptoms completely, and you're just left with something that you've just got to face yourself. And that's all depression is. It's literally something in your brain wired wrong or not wired up at all, and you can get that mental connection going again. So that really helps me a lot. It was just that first stage of saying, guess what, I'm messed up in the head, and that's okay. I suffered for longer than I should, and it wasn't until my sister picked up on it that I had depression. Wait, that made sense. I suffered for a very long time, and I wish that I had done something about it sooner. It wasn't until my sister picked up on it, and she said, look, I think you've got depression, I think you should go and get tested. And I went and took a test, and it came out quite severe. Like, oops. Just accept any help that you're given. If someone says they think, even if it's just they think, and it's just, you know, go get tested. It might just be nothing. It might just be that you're just down. But if you're down quite often, more than what your friends seem to be, that's when you should go, maybe I'll get tested. Maybe I'll seek a bit of professional help and just see if there is anything that can be done. You've got to find these distractions. People with depression stick on ideas, like with me being unpopular. That just, when every day, every single morning going to school, I never looked forward to it, because I'm like, oh boy, I'm going to go and be surrounded by people that don't like me and I don't particularly like either. They're going to judge me. They're going to say stuff about me, you know. I'm going to be outcasted by everyone again and again, every day. But that's okay. That's just life. It's just something that happens, and you've got to put up with it. Always look for the positives, not the negatives. I love Little Mix. I don't give a flying fuck if people think I'm gay or think I'm weird for liking Little Mix or Scarlett Johansson, because, you know, all these women, and I'm a male, that makes me gay, and apparently being gay is a problem, and you should be burned in hell if you're... I don't get people. Homophobes make me feel physically sick. People are just people. Why do people have to... You know what I mean? But we're getting on to a different topic. Wherever you are, be proud of who you are. Don't let anyone suggest that you're less of a person because of the way you are. That's the kind of person you want to take them, screw them up, put them in the bin, and never even think of them again. Ta-da! But yeah, you've got to go for these positives, not the negatives. Don't dwell on the negatives, just accept shit happens, and sometimes, you know, I view it as someone with depression, you have had obstacles thrown at you that others have not, and if you can get through to the other side, through all these obstacles, you are a stronger person than someone that's just, you know, flown through life, no problems, nothing ever gone on in their head, no one's died, no one's got ill, they've never lost anyone. Whereas when you've had depression and you've had these things in your life going on, you're like, you know what, I have had obstacles, and every single obstacle I have got overcome, I have gotten through it, and I'm a better person because of it. So suck my depression hard. I don't know why I keep going off topic. I'm really like, woo! Dr. Pepper, can you tell? It's sugar free, but it still does things to me. So that's a really key way to overcome depression, is just to accept life's a piece of shit. Life's not going to be perfect. Like, only a few people in the world go through a perfect life. You've got stumbling blocks, and the more you have, the more you've got to overcome, the stronger of a person you become. I've hit this level now where I can just look someone in the eye and say, look, I don't give a shit. I've got people from my past that are in my past for a reason, and I'm like, you know what? You didn't help. I could accept that I was messed up in the head. I could accept that I needed help, and there were these people in my life that just were like, you know what? Here's a guy that's down. Let's kick him while he's down. And I'm just like, you know what? Good for you. Really good for you that that's what you need to do to get, you know. I know people that literally will have to sit there stalking people. I'm not talking about, you know, I totally don't have a stalker that fucking sits there when I upload a video just to dislike it, just to try and put me down. Someone's that sad. And I'm like, you know what? Good for you. You do that, and I'm going to be living my life on cloud 9 because I can accept the negatives to happen, and I just push them to one way, but look at the positives, and I really embrace them, and that makes me feel amazing, thinking, you know what, these girls on my wall, I met them once, and every time I think about it, I smile. No matter what's going on in my life, I met these girls, and that meant the world to me. I beatboxed in front of Jessie, which was a dream of mine since she beatboxed on TV for the first time, and I've done that, and I'm just like, you know what, my life is better than yours if you've got to sit there putting other people down just to big yourself up. My life's great, just the way it is, thanks. Ding! So now we're going to go on to the bit that I'm hoping will help, but it might not. I don't know if anyone's going to really watch this if they don't have depression, but we're going to talk about how you can help out people that have depression. If you yourself, you know, you're fine, you reckon you've got a friend or family member that may be suffering, here's what to do. Okay, so here's what to do if you think someone, you know, has depression, or you know they have depression. First one's really obvious. If they want a shoulder to cry on, be that shoulder. I've got people in my past that are in my past for a reason, because when I've asked for someone to help me, you know, for some reason, certain people, something tells you this person can help you. So I've met people when I thought, you know, I'm going to open up to them, and every time it's just been a letdown. That's a lot, not every time. I have met some amazing people years back that are still with me now, that have literally, they've expressed to me recently. Some people have said, you're such a change recently, I'm so loud and obnoxious. I used to be the quiet one that used to sit there really sad, now I'm just like, because I can, because I had the help I needed. So be that person, gain their trust, and make sure you understand them fully. Don't even begin to pass judgment on the things that they've done when they, you know, people admit to you, know, oh, I've had a problem with drugs, I've had a problem with alcohol. Don't immediately go, oh, druggy, alcoholic. Go back to the roots and break it down and work out with them what exactly can be done to cheer them up into a permanent state. And saying about cheering up, that's the worst thing you can do. Top of the list, the worst thing you can say to someone that has depression is, oh, cheer up. People with depression are so frustrated all the time. They just want to be happy. They literally, if you imagine there's a tunnel to their happiness, it is blocked off. They cannot get through. They want to be happy, but they can't. There's no point telling them, oh, stop being miserable, be happy instead. They are trying, trust me. They are trying, and they just can't. So you've got to learn what triggers them and how can you avoid these triggers and completely eliminate them from their life to a point that you can actually introduce that trigger and it doesn't bother them anymore. That's what I'm like. I used to be triggered by things that now just do not bother me one bit. That's what I love about it now, is yes, I've got this 5% remaining, but I'm just like, no one's going to get to it, because if they even try, I've got methods. So yeah, it's a tricky balance, because you've got to be a little bit harsh to them, and they've got to be harsh themselves, saying about, yes, I have a mental illness, but try not to be too harsh, because obviously I can just knock them straight back down. They are trying, believe me, everyone with depression is trying. They feel in themselves that there's no hope, but part of them is still trying. And if you can find that part and make it grow, suddenly a little bit of trying is becoming, they are from head to toe, 24/7 trying. If they've got one person to try with them, that is 200% trying. 3 people, that's 300%. Every individual counts, so please, if you know someone that may be suffering, get them to this video, write stuff down from this video and tell them, because I suffered for years and it destroyed me. I still say to a lot of people, I don't really feel like I had the childhood others had, because my depression kicked in from such a young age, and it just, you know, all the way through from it started. I started feeling very different about year 5 and all the way up to about year 12. You know, year 5 to year 12. And there are people out there that have gone from a teenage age right the way through their adult life with it. It can be stopped. It has to stop. I hope you enjoyed this video in some way. I hope it's helped people. I really hope it gets shared to the people that need to see it. I love everyone that watches this video. I love everyone that shares this video. You're all awesome. And I'll see you in the next one. Latest taters.